Third graders, for today's objective, we are going to figure out what makes a good slide. Now, when you hear the word slide, you're probably already conjuring up ideas of what you think makes a slide the most fun. Okay, is your fun slide one with lots of twists and turns? Does it go straight down? Is it a water slide? Well, what makes a great slide has everything to do with, you're thinking about it, force. Okay, so the first ingredient to a good slide is the force of gravity. So the steeper your slide is, that means the taller it is at a certain angle. So the steeper your slide is, the faster you're going to go down. Because gravity over here is pulling you down fast. Okay, so the steep of your slide is a pull. Gravity is pulling you down. That's our pull part of a slide. Take a look at this slide. This is the steepest slide. I think it's still the steepest slide, but at one point anyway, this was the steepest slide in the world. It's a slide in Brazil. It's called the Insano, and it's basically like you're going straight down. Super scary. But you guys would probably think it was fun. Let's take a look at some other slides. We're going to look at the materials these slides are made of. So the slide on my left is a rusty slide, and the slide on my right is a metal slide. Which slide do you think you're going to go down faster? The one that's older, kind of rusty, the one that's made of metal. Well, this is where the pushes come into play. If I zoom in on the rusty slide, this is the material up close. It's pretty bumpy. Maybe from the overall picture you can't tell, but when we zoom in, if I were to feel this slide right now, it would be pretty rough and bumpy. If I were to look at the metal slide zoomed in, it's pretty smooth. Not too many bumps up close. So the bumps on materials, we call that friction. And the materials that have a low friction are going to be smooth or slippery. And materials that have a high friction are rough or bumpy. So if we take a look at this picture and we think about all the different kinds of materials, we have wood and stone, maybe ice, glass, metal. Think about the different categories of materials we have. Think about the texture. Are they smooth or are they bumpy? Okay, the materials that are smoother, like the metal slide, that is going to have a low friction. Materials that are bumpier, like rust or wood, sandpaper, any other materials that you think of that are rough when you touch it, those are going to have high friction. Okay? Scientists call two forces pushing against each other a friction force. So when there's two materials rubbing against each other, that is a friction force. This happens every time you go down a slide. So our two forces in play. We have gravity pulling us down, and then we have friction pushing against us, pushing back. So the strength of the friction has to do with how rough or smooth the material is. So this child's sliding down a metal slide. So there's friction still pushing it back against him, but it's metal, so it's going to be smoother than if he was sliding down the rust slide and the rust was bumping back against him. There's another material at play here too. When you're going down the slide, think about the clothing items that you're wearing. So the clothing items are also either going to have rough or smooth texture to them, or high or low friction. So let's look at the jeans versus the sweatpants. Which material do you think is smoother? I would pick the sweatpants. The sweatpants are softer and the jeans are a little rougher. So going down a slide in jeans is going to affect how fun going down the slide is versus going down the slide in sweatpants. If I go down the slide in jeans, it's going to be a little bumpier. It's going to be a little rougher going down. There's going to be more friction, and I might not go as fast as if I'm wearing sweatpants. The sweatpants are smoother. Going down the slide, there's going to be less friction, and I'm probably going to go faster. What else could make a slide smoother? Water. Water slides are super fun, and you go down really fast because the water is making the slide smoother. It's slippery, it's providing less friction, and you're going to go down super fast. And think about it too, when you're going down a water slide, the material of your clothing is probably a swimsuit, and a swimsuit is smooth material. It's less bumpy. It's going to create less friction. So a swimsuit down a plastic water slide are two smooth surfaces rubbing against each other. So the friction force is really low. So in conclusion, friction is a type of force. And this friction force occurs when two objects are in contact and push against each other. So in this GIF, the dog's fur is pushing against the slide. When an object has less friction, it moves easier. So that would be going down a water slide is going to be easier than going down a slide on a playground. If an object has more friction, it moves slower. So that would be going down a slide in jeans is going to move a little slower than going down a slide in sweatpants.